The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is officially out of the European Union. But are we about to take their place in the EU? I'm Robin Kinderman, and you're watching JBS Straight Talk. It's been a long, hard-fought battle for Great Britain to reclaim its independence since it first joined the then European Economic Community in 1973. In his final speech before the European Parliament, Nigel Farage, the founder and leader of the Brexit Party, explained how today's European Union is not what Great Britain originally signed up for.
So this is it, the final chapter, the end of the road. A 47-year political experiment that the British, frankly, have never been very happy with. My mother and father signed up to a common market, not to a political union, not to flags, anthems, presidents, and now you even want your own army.
Farage is right. When Britain joined the EEC, it was under the impression that it was entering into a free trade arrangement with their friends in Europe, not a political integration scheme with a one-size-fits-all approach dictated from Brussels. Being part of the EU means submitting to a regional government, namely the unelected European Commission. As the executive branch of the EU, the European Commission drafts legislation, implements decisions, and manages all of the various treaties between the EU and their member countries. Is this really yours or anyone's idea of free trade? In his last speech, Farage explained,
"What do we want from Europe? If we want trade, friendship, cooperation, reciprocity, we don't need a European Commission. We don't need a European Court. We don't need these institutions and all of this power. And I can promise you, both in UKIP and indeed in the Brexit Party, we love Europe. We just hate the European Union. It's as simple as that. So I'm hoping this begins the end of this project. It's a bad project. It isn't just undemocratic, it's anti-democratic."
He's exactly right. Being part of the EU isn't free trade. It's managed trade, regulated by increased government at the international level. While Brexit opens the door for the UK to negotiate its own bilateral free trade agreements with other countries like the US, something they couldn't do under the EU, we have to be careful that we don't take their place. Remember back when Obama was negotiating the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership? He was also negotiating something else called TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. This would have been a massive 24-chapter-long trade agreement between the US and the EU. Shortly after being sworn in as president, Trump got us out of the TPP, but not the TTIP. Instead, the US has continued trade negotiations with the European Union. While they may not be discussing replacing the dollar with the euro, this so-called free trade agreement could very well be the first step to ensnaring us into what the UK just got out of. After all, like Farage pointed out, when they joined in 1973, they thought they were only entering a common market to trade, not losing their sovereignty. Let's learn from the UK. They didn't need a European Commission to trade with Europe. We also don't need a commission to trade with the EU. We don't need or want a US-EU Commission or Atlantic Union. To learn more about the emerging Atlantic Union, visit jbs.org/tradeagenda. We'll be updating this page more in the weeks to come. Until next week, take care and God bless.